first Director General of the BBC, Lord Reed, famously said that the purpose of television was to inform, educate...
But I think television will help us most of all in the subject of geography.
...and entertain. But they usually miss out the next bit of the quote, when he said it should also make you drop your chips, spit your tea out and scream, "What are you doing?"
You're unbelievable.
In the early days of television, everything went out live. No tapes were made, so no record survives. We can only imagine what madness was broadcast in the name of entertainment. But those early pioneers were just practicing, honing their skills. The golden rules of wrongness were refined and handed down by idiots from generation to generation, until everyone knew exactly how to do wrong right. A bit of modern art always goes down very badly. Make sportsmen sing.
'Cause things are gonna be just fine if you only will.
Get posh people to talk to the great unwashed. Persuade some loony hippie to eat their own placenta on national television.
The placenta is going to be cooked and made into a placenta pate, and I'm not sure quite what the recipe is for that.
Not pontificating as we all do.
And if all else fails, give your talk show guests lots of booze.
Unbelievable.
Excuse me, no.
Here's Oliver Reed making his legendary appearance on Channel 4's live late-night discussion show. People always remember him not making much sense on this show, but actually, if you really look at the footage, he's making perfect sense.
Ask you a question.
Yes, go on.
Why should you forgive yourself because a boy falls before you?
Don't understand.
Idiot. He said, "Why should you forgive yourself because a boy falls before you?" What's so complicated about that?
There knows no ill, really, that comes to a palais de danse and dances around the place, or jiggles his heels in the air because he's a Celt. Why should he go down, and how do you forgive yourself because he's a better dancer?
What he's saying is, if somebody that knows no ill, really, comes to a palais de danse and dances around the place, who tickles his heels in the air because he's a Celt, why should he go down, and how do you forgive yourself because he's a better dancer? I mean, that's a good question. And why should he? And should you forgive yourself? You know, no one's asking these questions, are they? This is better than Plato.
Effectively, it was the blockade, and then in the 1930s...
Oh, yeah, you're all bloody generals, aren't you? You're all so bloody smart that that's where you're going to move your tanks around, and the next thing you're going to go...
You're the only one...
That is actually a very incisive analysis of modern warfare. I mean, tactically, he's up to the mark. I, for one, would love to see him as a battlefield... in a battlefield situation if he was still alive. Why not? I mean, it's a waste.
We are defining
rights.
We're
not talking about you at all your attitudes, because when we come down there with the old smoky below, we ought to come off on the big old bots and go in there and say, "What are you going to have, son?"
But you see, Oliver, you don't really believe
that's
that.
Where we come, that's where we're going to go. That's where we are, the widgets and the widgets, and they're all going to go, woo, the boys, on the big old choppers, we're going to go down there.
And here again we see a broad failure to correctly interpret Oliver's argument. When we come down there with the woolly old smoky blowy on the come off on the big old bikes and go down there and say, "What are we? Well, sunshine. That's where we came, sunshine." That's when the witches and the women all go, "Woo!" at a big old chopper, and we're going to go down there, lads.
Polarising.
No, I'm just...
Which, to summarise, is basically, you're all talking bollocks, and I'm not.
Reflecting on what you had said.
What time is it now?
It's almost time.
20 to 1 nearly.
Almost time for the
I won't
adverts,
talk
you
till
see.
1 o'clock.
I don't.
And let's see how you lot go on.
And who remembers what they were saying when Ollie withheld his wisdom? No one. Not one word. I rest my case.
That was
you were teaching it.
A talk show has all the right conditions for a full-on TV disaster. Egos like barrage balloons, a shortage of guests who've got anything worth saying, and gallons of booze in the green room. As Tracey Emin so memorably said,
The ultimate thing is...
And the paintings change as one does that. The paintings also change in...
Amazingly, Tracey Emin came out of this display quite well.
Are there really real people in England watching this programme now? Are they really watching it? Real people watching this programme?
Why are you asking that question,
They're probably as real as you are, Tracey, let's face it.
They're just 25 minutes behind us. Think about that.
I don't understand what she's so upset about. I mean, it seems to be people discussing art in suits. Is that wrong? And what are real people? If those people aren't real, they must be the most articulate robots ever built.
How many artists are here from that show, from Sensation? I'm here, I'm drunk, had a good night out with my friends, and I'm leaving now. I'm going to be with my friends, I'm going to be with my mum, I'm going to phone her, and she's going to be embarrassed about this conversation.
The problem here is Tracey said yes to joining an arts discussion and yes to booze, and she should have said no to one of them.
You aren't relating to me now. You've lost me. You've lost me completely.
Do you think it's a generational thing, Tracey? Do you think that the art world is...
No, I don't think it is a generation thing at all. He is fantastic, fucking excellent. That man there.
Yes.
Is excellent. No, you.
I don't think it was referring to
Look
me.
at the man. No, look at that man there.
Oh, I thought it was me.
But nevertheless, it's still...
That's what happens when you point with a broken finger.
There's nowhere when there's fucking mic on me. Now, I want to put it off.
Well, we're joined now by musician Shane MacGowan, who's just come straight from a live concert at the Royal Albert Hall.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll book political commentator Shane MacGowan directly after a gig.
I see you're proudly sitting there having a fag on air.
That producer is now blowing leaves in a park.
It's hardly going to affect things at all. So.
You don't think it'll affect anything in Ireland? I mean, what will it be like to go to Ireland and not be able to smoke?
Well, the guards aren't going to enforce it.
This, of course, is another yes scenario.
They're not going to enforce it yet.
Well, it's...
And, like, you know, I know lots of pub stuff in Ireland, they don't,
There's a great episode of Mr. Ben where he puts on a Shane MacGowan outfit and spends an afternoon shouting at pigeons and combing his hair with a shoe.
I mean, they don't want to lose their jobs because people stop using a pub where you can't smoke. Well, look, I mean, what I'm saying is that like in the city in Ireland and in some towns or whatever, yeah? But like,
this was recorded during Lent when Shane was on a verb fast.
I brought this in New York. Businesses didn't go bust. Bars did stay open.
Well, I mean, yeah, and they had a war with Iraq, you know. Well, I
don't think you can correlate smoking with that.
Yeah, I mean, but like,
I know that you think you're changing the world, but you're not. You're making jokes.
No one's asking us to change the world.
I'll come right back to you, because you haven't got a chip on your shoulder. You've got Vindaloo.
Keith,
that's a joke. Do you get it? He's got a Vindaloo on his shoulder.
Keith, hold it.
Hold it. It's the best gag.
You are either going to get...
Now, if you take issue with the opinions offered by your fellow guests...
It's a kind of American thing, yes. You're going to get jokes.
You may decide to withdraw your participation.
I know that all your sensitivities...
Here's Keith Allen withdrawing his.
God, you're so thick. I'm going home, man. You're so fucking dead. You really are dead. Okay. And I like your telephone manner, it's nice. And I'm sorry I'm picking on you, but all of you, and the producer bastard up there, all of you, you're dead.
Come back and finish the dinner.
Fuck off.
Finish the conversation.
Fuck off. How dare you? You cannot see the truth that is being rammed down your throat. You want a programme about a situation comedy.
This is a masterclass in how not to do it.
Come on.
If you want to see how to do it properly, here's Ollie.
Do you want me to go?
No. I'd love it if you would. I think you're an awful bully. And I think it's appalling, and anybody should have to put up with it.
Do you want me to go?
Yes, I do.
Gentlemen?
I think you should.
I think that's the collective
Consensus.
opinion.
Good night.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night.
Ladies. Good night.
Good night.
And he's gone. Oliver Reed, king of the walkout. Back to his day job, chief interpreter at the United Nations.
You're unbelievable.
Television has done much for psychiatry by spreading information about it, as well as contributing to the need for it. Boo! If you've seen part 1, you've already heard that Plutonians sound like Smurfs on helium. The Venusians, in contrast, are very dour and serious.
Reporting.
Sounds like a Martian minicab controller. It's actually a man in direct contact with Venus.
From orbital section number 2.
You go into trance and the voice speaks through you. Is that right?
Yes, the intelligence speaks through me. In other words, I gain a telepathic rapport with the intelligence from another planet, and he conveys his message through me.
Using your vocal cords?
Yes, oh yes.
Could you do that this evening?
I think I could, yes.
That's lucky. He needs to wear sunglasses because the Venusians will only hang out with cool cats. He also wears them because you're less likely to get punched in glasses, which he obviously wants to do.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My dear friend.
Your name is?
I am known as Aetherius.
Where do you come from?
The planet Venus.
Where are you speaking from now?
I am sorry, my dear friend, I cannot answer that question for you.
I had wondered simply whether you were in a vehicle of some kind, a spaceship described by Mr. King when he was talking to me, or whether you were in your normal abode. But you can't tell me that?
No.
Didn't really get all that much information. I mean, I'd have put him on the spot a bit more. Are you planning to invade Earth? Do you have any ray guns? What are your ladies like?
Yes.
Should have got Paxman.
That is quite correct. We have indeed been visiting this Earth of yours for some 18 million of your Earth years.
That must be a momentous day when you realise you can chat to Venus whenever you want. I wonder who you tell first. Not your boss or your wife. Best to go and tell the one person who won't think you're mad at the BBC.
Their lower aspects.
Thank you, Aetherius, very much indeed.
Good night.
Good night.
That's what the audience did. That guy went on to become a cult leader, forming the Aetherius Society, a group that seems very popular with tennis umpires and surveyors. Another strange cult run by men in suits, the BBC, gave them half an hour of primetime television.
I would now like to reintroduce you to one of the cosmic masters who is in regular communication with Earth through Dr. King, the Martian adept we know as Mars Sector 6.
Aware of the power of this visual medium, they played a tape recording.
In these days, there is much a service which is vitally important to a terror, want, hate.
It's quite novel to have a tape recording of your spiritual leader, and they look very smug about it. Inside they're going, we've got a recording, you've got a book, we've got a recording, we've got a recording.
Violence in every form. See how people...
Oh, brilliant. Paint drying.
...are being deluded. There are many ways, indeed, to serve.